I'm trying to look straight, but I feel like I'm looking to the side.
Oh.
All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is. Right here, right now, we actually have an exclusive live video interview with one of my favorite hip hop trios to ever grace the hip hop industry. We have the Bush Babies right here. You can see them right here on YouTube, or if you want to just listen to them, you can listen to them on the radio station airways. But we are live in full effect. How are you guys doing this evening?
So far, so good.
Bless.
Feeling good.
I got to say first and foremost, guys, before we
Can
jump into this,
Can you hear us? You got us?
I can hear you great. I can hear you guys great, man. I just got to say, before we actually jump into this, I just got to give you guys some praise, man, and just say thank you so much for just giving my radio station airways a bit of your guys' time this evening. And of course, years of monumental music, man. I grew up on the Bush Babies. The song Remember We is one of my absolute favorite joints, man. I was telling Lee before you guys got in the feed that I still listen to that song like it came out yesterday.
Thanks.
That's what's up.
Thank you.
But I know, hey man, you guys are most certainly welcome. But I know all three of you guys are very busy individuals, so I'm not going to take too much of your times here this evening. But I got to ask, man, what is the origin story behind the Bush Babies? Like, how did you guys originally meet and come together to form this iconic duo?
Who's going to tell the story?
I'll go ahead and tell the story. Well, actually, the founder of the vision was actually Mr. Man. He's the one where the spark of creation came about, and he actually was like the movie Kung Fu. He went on a quest. I'm just, but actually, yeah, he went on a quest, and he thought of the name. He thought of the group, and then went around. First person I believe he came to my high school at that time, both from Brooklyn, and you know, I would be freestyling and stuff, and you know, we kind of caught each other's attention, and then we just started rhyming together as well. And then he went out to some talent shows, and he wound up seeing Light at a talent show, and said, you know what, he would be a good person to add to the group as well. And it just put us together. We just started from there, going out and doing talent shows together. Then doing, you know, from winning talent shows to start recording records together, and just started to become what we are today.
That was the nice guy version. He didn't tell you had the dirty version. It was like, yo, I was in the street. I was like, yo, I'm going to go here. And I saw Light perform at a show. And I was like, who is that? And I looked on the stage and I was like, yo, that sounds like who he sounds like, you know, like Supercat. And I was like, yo, Supercat isn't here. But I was shocked. I was like, this dude is the best thing I ever heard in my life. So after the show, I was like, yo, that dude's dope. But nobody knew him. Nobody had his number. But I knew the dudes that threw the event because we all went to high school together. And so I just kept it in my mind. I said, yo, I'm going to find that guy. And then I went to a different show at a place called Intensities in Sheepshead Bay. And Lee was part of a, he was with a group called RS. You might know them from TS. From Terror Squad. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yo. So I started rapping and he was like, ooh, you kind of dope. So, you know, we started working together and I built his house and, we started rapping shit. And I said, yo, this dude, I saw this dude, I know him, but I saw this dude, and, you know, we got to get him to be part of this group with us. He was like, all right, bet. So then I called the guy that delivers the mail to the building of the dude that threw the show that Jamal was performing at. And he's like, yeah, I know those guys. So I was like, yo, you think you can find out anything about that guy? And he's like, yo, I can get you his beeper number. Man, you know, this is back when we had beepers. So I beeped this guy. Random number. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We supposed to be in school. Dude calls me back and says, yeah, man, who this? And from there, it was like, yo, I was like, yo, do you have time to meet us right now in Queens? First of all, we're not from Queens, but do you have time to meet us over here? And he comes all the way out. He meets us all in Queens, Long Island City. I mean, not Long Island City. By LaGuardia College. And I was like, yeah. So we started talking, and I was like, hey, you got time? You busy? He's like, nah, what's up? I said, yo, we got a talent show right now. And we turned around, did the talent show that day, 10 minutes later, and we won. Never knew each other, but we met right there, performed the talent show and won. And that's when we knew it was like, yo, we got something. We got to do this. And that was the beginning. But it was that kind of hijinks and, my overactive imagination and thought process, like, yo, whatever it is, I'm going to figure out how to do it. And here we are, talking to you.
And I got to say as well, man, it just proves how much chemistry you guys had literally just on the very first day of all you guys getting together and doing that talent show. Because obviously some of those talent shows, man, they're pretty ferocious, man. The people that actually come on and, try to show their talent, man. So the fact that you guys didn't know each other at all and you came together and beat everybody, man, that just proves right there the chemistry that you guys actually had.
Yeah, man, I think we used to call it open mics more than talent shows, though, right?
Yeah.
I think we call them open mics, though, Lee, right? Not talent shows, really.
Oh, in the beginning, they was talent shows. The ones that
in the beginning,
that particular one was a talent show.
A talent show, yeah.
That first one was a talent show.
Yeah.
We
at the college.
Didn't go.
At LaGuardia.
Open mics. And Lyricist Lounge.
Beginning of Lyricist Lounge was on Orchard Street, and we'd go upstairs into the little, loft, and they didn't have no speakers. They just had a radio, and Mos Def, a.k.a. Dante Bazay, was playing the drums. He wasn't even rapping. He was just playing drums for everybody. Who else was there? Adolf, the Assassin. It was like so many people there. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm getting excited and talking too much.
And also as well, I also read that during your guys' search for a record deal in the early 1990s, you actually performed live office auditions where you guys ultimately signed with Reprise. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners what record companies you actually did these live auditions for. And of course, what made you guys decide to choose Reprise as your guys' label deal?
Like, you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that. Well, I think at the time, segue from what Mr. Man just said, like at the time, we were performing everywhere, right? Around the town, around the city. And eventually we had got connected with some folks at BMI. There's BMI and ASCAP, the writers right.
And Pat Jackson.
Yeah, so we had hooked up with them, and they loved what we were doing, and we didn't actually have a demo at the time. We just like he said, we just linked up. So they were so excited about us. They were just like, yo, just do something right now. And of course, we come in with that young energy, off the talent shows and open mics, and we did it right there in the office, and they loved it so much they just brought us around, and we kept doing it. And everybody wanted to offer us a deal. At the time, it was Mercury, Warner, JD, which was so Def. He was just forming really at the time, and a couple others that I could, Capitol Records,
Cold Chillin',
There were about 5 or 6 offers on the table at the time. So I think for us, we were just young. We didn't really understand all of the dynamics, but Warner was a big pitch for us. They brought us out. We young, impressionable. They had, the Warner Brothers Tower that you saw in the cartoons.
I remember that.
We actually went and ate like right at a restaurant right there. And the dollars, I think, also swayed us too, right? Because they were offering more money than a lot of other deals. So I think those factors all together, we just sat down and we said, let's go for it. And we were chasing the bigger deal, I think, at the time, and didn't understand like all of the dynamics,
And also as well, on December 6th of 1994, you guys actually released your your debut album titled Ambush. I was always wondering, man, what is the story and inspiration behind this iconic record? Because Ambush obviously has been so dear to so many fans for so many years.
Khaliyl, you want to go for it?
I have to laugh at that because there's always a debate on whether or not which members in this group likes that album. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't like it. Sometimes Light doesn't like it a lot of the time. Now, but we love the record that we did. We love the work that we did while we were doing it. But later on, as we listened to it, like, yeah, we could have probably took our time a little bit and really developed our skill set, because a lot of the stuff on the album are the demos. So those were the songs that we would do open mics and perform live in offices. All we did is just record those. We didn't actually make great songs yet. We hadn't learned that yet. We were around good people. Mark Batson, Jermaine Dupri, Nick and Nicole, Jay Prince. You know what I'm saying? Like they were Ali Shaheed Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? So like we were still learning. And we didn't really think about how to make an album, or you have to make this kind of flow or these kind of songs, or we didn't have that sensibility yet. So it took a while for us to get there, which is kind of evident on Gravity, which is the second album, which came out. I don't remember what date that came out, but the fact that you put out December 6th, 1994, that was crazy. I was like, well, how you got that date?
Hey, I make sure when I get my questions together, I have dates as well. Individuals have years, but I make sure I get right down to the exact date. If the internet told me what time you guys released that album at, I definitely include that in the question as well.
You were born at 10:45 a.m. on the Saturday.
But obviously, when you just mentioned there, Mr. Man, about how it was mostly demos, and you guys feel like you didn't really, is that what really made you guys not really enjoy that album or like it? Because I got to say, obviously, a lot of fans enjoyed that project. Was it just the demos and not taking your guys' time is why you guys really are kind of iffy on that project?
It looks like Lee was going to answer that.
Yeah, I think he might be frozen. I think
Can you hear me?
I think yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
I think during that project we were trying to be what we thought hip hop was, and then when Gravity came, we became who we were within hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the difference. So what you got out of us in Ambushed is what we perceived what hip hop should be from looking in. But I think once we were in it and Gravity came, if you notice, one of the songs, We Run Things. We Run Things is actually on the Ambushed album. But in reality, it was the beginning of us transcending into who we were into the Gravity album. Because We Run Things sounds nothing like anything else on the Ambushed album.
The Remember We song that you said you like, that's actually a remix of Remember We.
Right.
Yeah, to echo what they're saying, I think it's a whirlwind, like I mentioned, we went from open mics and running around, and we didn't even have our production really together. It was just whatever we got our hands on at the time, So I think the first album you hear just raw energy. So a lot of the fans could get with, the components of it, but looking at it, as an artist, you know what I mean? I think when we got to We Run Things and remix Remember We, that's when we found our voice more through producing the first album. So the raw energy is, you can pull pieces of that first album and be like, oh man, this was dope. They were dope. But I think the second album for us stands up as like a body of work that we're more, we're excited about, because we got to really know each other more too.
Right.
Yes, very much so.
And also, so before we move off the topic of this album, I know you brought up Mr. Man a few moments ago about how you guys actually had the opportunity to work with Jermaine Dupri, and I do know as well that some of that album was actually produced by him, and he was obviously very, very young at that time. I have to ask, what was it like just being in the studio working alongside a very young Jermaine Dupri at the time? Because he is honestly a phenomenal producer and one of the best at it as well.
I mean, well, you gotta think he's not that much older than us. He's like maybe a year or maybe a couple of months older. He's not really outside of our age range, you know. So it was just like being in the studio with your friends and you trying to figure some stuff out. But the difference is he was already on the successful side of the fence, and we were standing right outside the gate. Like, can we get in? So when we were in the studio with him, he was kind of, you know, lending us the flashlight to see the path to get inside the game, you know. So I think also he was also trying to figure out what kind of music he should make for us. Cause it's not like he came to Flatbush, you know. He didn't come to Flatbush and hang out at the Ark or at Africa House or, you know, anything like that. He just was like, them guys are dope. And, you know, the other piece of it is we were managed by his father and their company, which is called Entertainment Resources at the time. So it was Bart Phillips, Philip Calloway, and Michael Malden, whose son, Michael Malden, was Jermaine Dupri, who happened to be one of our producers. So it was just like Alicia Keys was there, Arrested Development was there. There were so many groups that were all part of that same circle. Mark Batson and his brother, which was called, what was that group called again? Get Set DOP. And now he's over here producing for Dr. Dre. So, I mean, you know, you can't, there's no one that you can look at and turn your nose up at, because you never know who's going to be who. And to this day, we're still friends with every single body on some level. We could pick up the phone or we could type them on the gram or Facebook or something, and pretty much reach out and talk to everybody. You know, it's just you know, I think our personality is just like, just maintain those relationships. It's all love for everybody. It's not no beef, or I got more money, or I wear better clothes, or I got better beats, or I write better rhymes. It's just like, yo, let's just make the music that's going to carry on for the next, because guess what? At some point, we're going to have grandkids and great-grandkids, and the same way we look at Count Basie and Stevie Wonder and Rashad Jamal and all these different musicians.
Yeah, Brendan, stop hijack the interview.
Sorry. I'm sorry, but I just be yapping. I'll be wanting to talk.
You got to
you
stop him.
But the point is,
somebody got to jump in.
Do something for the next generation. That's the point.
And also, as well, I got to say, you definitely learned something new every day, because I did not know that you guys were actually managed by Jermaine Dupri's father, man. Like, that was something I just learned today. So it's like the old saying goes, you definitely learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was family. And Jermaine was, you know, he was dope, man. He was, you know, he still is. He's talented. He's a dancer, break. I remember when we first got to his house, before we even made a beat or even went to the studio, I think Lee said something about break dancing or something, and they ended up like battling in one of his empty rooms in the house. I think he had cardboard too, Lee. Right? I think there was like they were just still moving into parts of it, and he opened up some cardboard and they were doing the windmill and all types of stuff. So you know, he's a talented dude and he loves the music, man. So it's easy, you know.
Fun times.
Yes.
And also, as well, on October 15th of 1996, you guys actually dropped your second studio album. I knew once I said the date, I knew Mr. Man was going to enjoy that.
I'm laughing because you keep pulling out these dates. I'm like,
what happened on October 13th? 1986.
Was that a test on that day? Was that the school day? Like, what? October 15th, 1996.
Doodle.
Right.
All right, that's for the blooper reel.
No, you're right.
Okay.
So
But
what
no,
was the question again? I'm sorry, I missed.
I was gonna say you guys actually dropped your second studio album that actually has 3 tracks featuring the then unknown Mos Def. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners the story behind that collaboration, and of course, how does it feel to know that you guys are pretty much responsible for jump starting his legendary career?
I mean,
I'm not gonna say nothing because like I'm be like, yo, brother, take over the interview.
it's, I mean, he said it. Mr. Man said it earlier. It's all love. Like it's people we grew up with. So we don't, it's hard to think of it the way that maybe others are thinking of it, looking in. But yes,
we went to high school.
yeah, but there's a feeling of pride. I mean, there's always a feeling of pride if someone someone you're connected to does something good. So, like we always, but that goes back to day one. We were always like that, supporting each other, and I think that when you listen to the records, they speak for themselves, right? They still stand up today. So.
I gotta say, I definitely agree with what you said about still standing up today, man. Like you literally cannot go wrong with any of Mos Def's music, man. Definitely such an inspiring individual, man. Like the lyrics this man actually speaks. Like I even not even just his movies. I don't know if you guys. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it because you guys obviously knew him personally. But he actually did a protest a couple of years back for I think it was how Guantanamo Bay prisoners actually get treated, and he actually did the test of the feeding tube, and I was like, man, what? I was like, that's insane. Like I don't know. I felt pain while watching that. Let's sum it up with that.
Yeah.
Passionate, man. It's passion,
Absolutely.
Hey, I have a question, if you don't mind my asking.
Oh, most definitely.
Is there a link, like an audio link or a web link? Because my daughter wants to participate in terms of hearing and watching, but she can't get on, she says.
Okay, so as for the interview, I actually have it embedded on our website. So it will actually be the link right, kind of like kind of moving across the screen, the outlawradiolive.ca. If she logs onto that website, it will be embedded right on the homepage.
Okay, I'm sending it to her right now. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I'm just.
Oh no, it's all good. Completely understandable, man. Though right on the website, it'll probably be. She has to scroll just a tiny bit, and it'll be right under where it says Outlaw Radio FM Weather. It'll be right underneath there.
Yeah, I see it. I see it on the screen, and I'm typing it in right now so she can jump on and hear what we're talking about.
Sounds good. But while he's sending that off, I also noticed as well that you guys are actually loosely affiliated with the hip hop collective, the Native Tongues. I was wondering for the listeners that might not know this about the Bush Babies being a part of the Native Tongues, can you tell us a bit more about that affiliation? And of course, how did you guys originally get connected with that collective?
That's a light story, because now we're gonna go into Ian Alexander and Ali Shaheed.
Yeah, I mean, I think musically there was a fit, right? The energy we were bringing, kind of, they're groups that were inspiring us and inspiring, some of the choices we were making musically. And then I think along the way, to the point we made earlier, we were moving from the first album, Ambush, into that Gravity album. And Mr. Man just mentioned Ian Alexander at the time, our A&R, came on board with Warner, and he was best friends with Chris Lighty, God bless the dead, and he so they were working hand in hand with Tribe, and that's how the production connection happened. So we got in the studio with Ali, we got in the studio with Tip, and and Paz, and so I think the love, like I said in the beginning, the love was there. Like we'd run into Buckner, we'd run into Moni Love, we'd run into all of these members that were excited about what we were doing as youths,
And I can say as well, so many amazing groups. Oh, my apologies, man. Go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you. I was gonna say something else that comes in that I just remembered when we were first coming into the Warner Brothers building to try to get the deal. The first person we met there was Moni Love, and she was already on one. So it was Moni and the JBs. The Young Brothers was already there, but organized confusion. Pharoah Monch and Prince Poe walked in with us to that meeting to like support us and let us not feel like we were alone because you know we're young high school kids, and they just wanted to make sure, yeah, we're gonna go with y'all, make sure you're right. And sure enough, Moni's there and the JBs are there, and we started feeling like, oh, all right, it's cool. And then we've been tight since then.
And I have to ask, what year did all this actually go down? Like, obviously, this was before you guys got a deal, so this was probably like early 90s, eh?
Mm.
Yeah, 92, 93.
Mm-hmm.
There we go with the dates again.
Where were you on October 14th?
Right.
And I do want everyone to know, actually, in the YouTube comments, if I get any of these dates wrong and you guys know I'm wrong, bring it up to me. I fact check me straight up.
No,
Facebook
hey,
style,
you
fact check
know
my
better
ass.
than us,
Right?
to be honest, because I'm like, that's the day they came out.
But I do got to say, I know what you're going to say again with the dates, but I know we're jumping ahead in the timeline a little bit. But on May 23rd of 2012, you guys actually performed at the 20th year reunion party at the Lyricist Lounge, where you guys actually graced the stage with other fellow legendary hip hop artists and groups. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about that eventful night, and of course, what was it like just reconnecting with all these amazing artists?
Oh, that was an excellent night. Definitely loved that night. Had a chance. Who else was there? Black Thought.
Chip Fool.
Oh, rest in peace. Prodigy performed that night.
Prodigy, yes, Prodigy was there.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Matter of fact, that was me and Lee. It was
Yep.
I was in Cali or in Florida.
Yep.
So yeah, it was me and Lee did that, and we kind of mashed it up a little bit.
Yeah. It's definitely a good time, and
Just Anthony and Danny.
Right, to be back in that Lyricist Lounge platform was just something that speaks a lot to our origins and everything we've done initially, even when Lyricist Lounge was just something on West 4th Street. Well, not West 4th Street, but more so in the village. Yeah, exactly.
On Orchard Street.
Yeah, exactly. And to go from there to where they are now, and it was just awesome to be a part of that.
I gotta say, I actually looked at the roster of individuals that were there. Like, was this like a one-night concert, like little mini festival, or did this actually go on for an entire weekend? Because this
No,
the lineup
this was one
insane.
night. It was one night.
Man, I gotta say, I already know the ticket purchasers definitely got their money's worth on that one, man. Because that lineup was loaded.
Oh yeah.
I think everybody was there. Everybody.
Yeah.
New York.
Pharaoh.
I think Khaliyl was there too.
Yep. It was a good show.
Who was also another schoolmate of mine.
And also, as well, you guys actually went under the name Dub Rock All Stars. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners the story behind that name change, and of course, what ultimately made you guys decide to change the name in the first place.
That was a little pivot. That was a little quick pivot because we've been trying to get the master rights and things like that with the label. So we decided to kind of tease a couple records, and that was around the time when things were really becoming a little bit more digital and streamlined, where you can just kind of release something and put it out in that fashion. So I think that was around that time. But since then, we've been able to recapture the name and move forward. So it was just a little blip in time. I think we were trying some stuff out musically.
And I got to say as well, I'm glad to see you guys actually got the opportunity to get the name. Do you guys actually own all the rights to you guys' music now?
Yeah, essentially they're at the end of the contract in the term. So
give it a couple of months. We'll see what.
I gotta say, I hope everything works well for you guys, because honestly, that's one thing I never understood. I understand back in the day, labels, they had to make their money and whatnot, but owning someone else's music that they made while they just sit back and collect dollars, to me, that's just criminal. Like, I understand, obviously, like, they have to make money, but at the same time, you guys should, at the end of a contract, be able to own your guys' royalties. That way, you guys can continue making the money you guys deserve years later.
I think the thing that's going on right there is we do get our publishing, we do have that. That's not really the issue. The issue is we don't completely own the master rights yet. So, in our agreements, there's a certain amount of time that has to pass before it gets reverted to you, or you go in and you negotiate it, or you pay for it. And I think we're just at the end of the term to where we get that back. So that's kind of where we are. It's not really.
It's actually already ended. That's why how we were able to kind of release it now. So, but the it takes a while sometimes for paperwork and all that stuff to be dotted and crossed. But it's just recently, so folks can stream it now. Folks can post it. Folks can do all of that. But to Mr. Mann's point, it's still always, and to your point earlier, it's to answer your thought, it's leverage. You and I can do a deal, and I can put whatever in the contract for you. If I have $1 billion and you have $5 and I screw you, you need a lawyer. The lawyers cost money.
And a lawyer's not gonna cost no $5, I can tell you.
And it takes time. And it takes time. So I can simply just sit in a leverage position and you can squirm all you want. So that's the reality. So conceptually, you're right. And after a while now, with exposure and, the digital platforms and folks being able to hear directly from folks, that's only been 20 years or so, since hip hop's been maturing. So you see the difference where you can't really, it's not as easy to put one over on the artist now.
Right.
Yeah. And I have to ask before we move off this topic, because obviously, like you said, you guys are currently working to get your full masters to own it all. When you guys do actually get that, what's your plan with your guys' music? I do know some individuals, they kind of license their music out to commercials. I don't know if that's something you guys would want to do. Like, what's your guys' plans? Have you guys really thought about that or talked about it once you guys do get 100% of your masters back?
We've been doing that, actually. We have been licensing the records. But then we've also done new records. So, I mean, it's a combination of the two. There's licensing, there's sub-publishing, there are new records that we're doing. We're doing deals for the old records. So, I mean, it's just a matter of what we decide to do.
We're not adverse to being paid, if that's
right, exactly.
I wouldn't really put it in that context. I just know some individuals, they absolutely from the Beastie Boys, for instance. I heard when MCA passed away, his one wish was to never get their music put into advertising. So that was one thing he was always against. So I kind of wanted to just ask, like, what are your guys' thoughts on doing stuff like that? Because I do know with these commercials, I heard you get a pretty damn good payout on those.
Yeah, we differ in opinion there. I mean, I feel like, I would like to know what the commercial is. I mean, we do, we're not just free for all with it. I mean, we want to understand the terms and what it's being used for. And if we morally have some disposition about it, then yeah, I feel like the three of us would, I know I don't even have to ask them, that they would stand on principle if it's something that bothers us. But most times, a lot of that stuff is good. They're going to use our music. They're going to use our culture music anyway. That's what's mainstream now. So, it might as well be yours to the listeners' ears if the commercial's right or the movie's right, that kind of thing.
And also, as well, I know Mr. Mann a few moments ago was actually speaking about new music that you guys actually recorded. I guess that kind of, in a way, answers his next question, but I'm just going to ask it anyways. Do you guys actually have plans to actually, put out a third studio album? And if so, what can our listeners expect from the Bush Babies in 2022? Because I'm not going to lie, I'm definitely excited just to hear a third album from you guys.
I'm gonna let like
Well, I mean, we've been talking about it. We kind of started, I don't want to say we started making an album, but we started recording more. I have some singles out, and I'm starting to kind of, exercise a little bit more. And Lee Major and I are constantly hooking up in the studio. He's in Orlando. I'm in Fort Lauderdale. And a lot of times, most of the time, it's Mr. Man's track, right? So we kind of are already working on it. And we have a lot of records. I think it's just getting back into a similar groove like what we did with Gravity.
it kind of streamlining it and saying, here's the direction towards this project. I think once we decide that, I think it's going with it. But yeah, as Light said, we pretty much been recording this album for like 20 years.
And especially as well with this day and age, you know what I mean? Like with the internet, you guys can be at all different locations. Like Light just said, Lee's out there in Orlando and whatnot. You guys are all over the place. You guys can still work on this project. I have to ask, is it a little bit different for you guys? Because obviously you guys have the chemistry. You guys are used to being in the studio. These first two projects obviously weren't recorded through the internet. But like, is it different for you guys to actually work on projects like this?
Not really.
No, not really, because Light's about 2 hours away from me. Once Mr. Man, sends us tracks, we're able to listen to tracks. We could always talk about them over the phone or in some type of a group forum. And then, we'll go to the studio together and make it happen. But we're always, working with Mr. Man, with those tracks as well to make sure, it would be great if he were in the studio as well, but the music that he provides, his vibe is already carried through that music. So the music is only leading us to do what he would have done anyway if he were there.
Right.
But I have to ask, what is next for the Bush Babies? I know you just mentioned how you're talking about a new album. You're currently working on that. But aside from that project, is there anything else that you guys still want to talk about, still want to promote? Well, we still got you here, not only live on YouTube, but of course the Canadian FM dial as well.
Right. Just expect new music. You got new music right now coming out from Light. Go to his Instagram page, light.a.fire. FIYAH, and check out new music coming from him. Check him out on YouTube as well. Light.a.fire. Light of fire.
FIYH.
Definitely sounds like a tongue twister.
It does. Light of fire. Check him out on YouTube, and you'll definitely hear definitely hear that Bush Baby vibe coming from there. And then, of course, we're working on our own stuff as well, as a collective effort.
Individual project, yeah.
Yeah, but it comes from the exercise, you know what I mean? You start walking, then you start jogging, then you start running. So the exercise right now is in Light's project and all the things we're able to do with that to get that moving. And it's been great, man. And it's just getting in the studio, which is something that I love to do.
It's always fun to be in the studio. It's not like before, like, it was a mission to go to the studio. Listen, we used to walk at 3:00 in the morning, walking through Bushwick 3:00 in the morning to get to the studio over there from Flatbush.
Yeah.
We would come out with some crazy ass records though.
Yeah.
I have to ask, because obviously I can only imagine just walking that late at night. So I have, if you don't want me asking, man, what is some of the craziest stuff you saw on these walks to the studio?
Sometimes it was runs to the studio. Let's say sometimes it was a run to the studio, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have to ask if you guys got there safely, because it's 2022 and we're all talking right now. So definitely a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also as well, since we got Light back actually on the feed, we actually were just speaking about like what's next aside from this album, and Lee was talking about some of the new music, new solo music that you currently got out. I was wondering if you, since we have you back here in the feed, if you can just touch base on some of this new music of yours, and of course, where can we actually buy or stream it today?
I mean, it's available on all platforms, as they say. To stream now. And I mean, you know, you can tap in. I'm usually on IG, to be honest. I'm trying to get better with some of the other platforms. I know TikTok is supposed to be part of where it's at now. So I promise I'm gonna dump everything there soon. But yeah, light dot a dot fire FIYAH. And yeah, if you tap in there, you'll be able to follow anything I'm doing. YouTube as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna continue to drop, you know, the songs as we're doing them, and as my brothers and I get together, then we'll have some more group records together. Mr. Man and I did a song called Attitude Gal recently. Lee Majors in the video. We kind of just shot the video together one day. And most of the production is actually Mr. Man on the production anyway. So, you know, if you're looking for Bush Baby Records, I mean, this is leaning a little more dancehall, a little more, but it's still got the hip hop vibe, and you know, it's Flatbush. It's just that same sound.
And also as well, this is the time to interview guys right before I wrap things up, that I give a chance for the individuals that do slide into the radio station airwaves, and of course, in this case, YouTube as well, just a chance to give like shout outs to whomever they want to give shout outs to. And I know, Light, you just dropped your Instagram handle, but if you can, guys, drop all your social media handles individually, and that way our listeners can follow all three of you guys and stay updated on everything you guys got going on.
Sure. First off, definitely tune in to Bush_babies on IG. Tune in to see what we got going on all the time. Definitely follow us there, and you can follow me at H Lee Majors on Instagram as well.
You could go to Khaliyl Sufiel Bey, which is KHALYLSUFIELBEY, and that's Gmail. Of course. I mean, my @ Instagram. And then for the 15,000th time, light.a.
Yeah,
FIYAH. Let's finish it. Finish that.
Right, exactly.
And
yeah, man. But
I gotta give a shout out as well to Juice the Witch Doctor of 12 Tribes Music for actually just coordinating this and actually getting all of us connected. Because honestly, if it wasn't for him sending me your guys' Facebook profiles, I don't think this would be happening tonight. Because Facebook is weird. You got to know individuals' government names to physically find them, and you know, I can find dates, but I don't like looking up at government names. It's just that's where I draw the line. It just gets a little weird with that.
He's early Flatbush, man. Original.
bless up to Juice.
Yes.
Bless up to Juice.
But I got to say, first and foremost, guys, thank you so much for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening and just chopping it up with me. Honestly, like I said, I've been a huge fan for a long time, and for this past 43 minutes, I've been trying to hold in the fanboy type vibe here, man. But thank you guys for years of monumental music, man. I still listen to it, and I know fans still do. So if you keep making it, we here at Outlaw Radio FM are going to keep spinning it, guys. So thank you for inspiring.
I appreciate it, man. Bless. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, I appreciate you guys as well. Definitely have yourselves a phenomenal night, and of course, a phenomenal rest of the weekend as well.
You too.
You got it. Take care.
Bless.
Appreciate the interview.
Thank you.